Disclaimer, do not bully or witch hunt anyone I talk about. Viewer discretion advised. Hey, what's up everyone? Blake the Runner here. I just got back from my run just to make this video. Now last year there's been a situation with Marvel and Sony, where Marvel and Sony fight over a fictional web-slinging iconic character just for money. After the big success of Endgame, Marvel's Spider-Man Far From Home came out, and it made a lot of money. And of course, Disney being greedy with power, they want 20% of the rights to Spider-Man. And they pretty much broke up the deal, until a young man named Tom Holland wanted Marvel and Sony to negotiate. Now Tom Holland has unfollowed Sony because Andrew Garfield was mistreated there. Well, because he was late for a meeting, and he was pretty sick. Sony. They actually renegotiated, and they're gonna make 2 more Spider-Man films. But they still want the rights to that character. Now, if you guys don't know the deep lores of the Spider-Man Sonyverse thing, it all started off with Marvel when they got bankrupt. They had to sell all their properties. Sony had Spider-Man, Universal Studios had Hulk, and the Fox had X-Men and the Fantastic Four. They were all separated for separate films, until Kevin Feige wanted to create the Marvel Cinematic Universe. First, the movie studios were like, that's a terrible idea. That wouldn't work. I'll give you all my money. Oh, okay, yeah, it's happening then. Okay, yeah, I don't know the full story, but you can make fun of me in the comments if you want. You can't expect me to know all the answers. Now, Spider-Man and the X-Men were gonna cross over during that time, but Sony and Fox didn't really get along. Sony made their first Spider-Man movie, which got me into Marvel in the first place, and I loved it. And then Spider-Man 2 came out. At first when I was a kid, I was scared, but when I got older, I loved it. Now, I could tell you every reason why I like this movie, but that's a video for another time, so Then Spider-Man 3 came out, and it was hated by critics, but I still loved it. And then The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 came out, and I actually loved it. Yes, I like The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It has its flaws, but I still enjoy it. But it really didn't do good in the box office. Then Sony and Disney made a deal and they collabed. It took a while to figure this out, but when the second trailer for Civil War came out, Spider-Man was finally in the MCU. And oh my god, I was so excited to see this. Now, for those who don't know, Tom Holland plays Spidey in the MCU. At first, they didn't really like this young Spider-Man. What do you guys have against young actors? Jeesh. But honestly, he was pretty good in my opinion when I first saw him. I even defended him a bunch of times, so yeah. Then Spider-Man Homecoming came out, and it was pretty good. And Tom Holland was improving. Then Venom came out because they wanted Spider-Man in that Venom Spider-Verse type thing. I don't know what to call it, which is the whole point of this video. And after that, Infinity War came out, and everyone loved Tom Holland. He actually gotten better, but he pretty much died at the end. Spoilers. Now, Venom had some mixed reviews, but honestly, I still enjoy it. It has a lot of action and comedy mixed into it. It was very flawed. Yes, it had a little bit of mixed reviews, but I still enjoyed it. It wasn't exactly a Spider-Man movie because they didn't have the rights to Spider-Man at first. Tom Hardy does a good job portraying Venom pretty good, even if it doesn't have Spider-Man. Then Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse came in and oh my god, it was amazing. It's just so good. It has a lot of good morals into it. And the animation looks so amazing. It looks like it was just made from a comic book. Which Spider-Man is a comic book character. And the characters are just written so good. And I like how traveling through dimensions has its flaws. It has a nice Back to the Future vibe going for it.
I don't think my atoms are real jazzed about being in the wrong dimension.
My favorite character was Peter B. Parker. There's just so much you can relate to him. Now, Peter B. Parker is just a screw-up. He screwed up a lot of his life. He screwed up his money. He just screwed up everything. But he was pretty much given a second chance across the multiverse. And at the end, he just became more confident in himself. Now, Sony is developing their own cinematic universe with a stupid name, but don't worry, we'll get to that later. That's the whole point of the video. They wanted to create a more Spider-Man cinematic universe into it, like Black Cat, Silver Sable, Venom, and yeah, that's pretty much that. And they called it, drumroll please, Sony Pictures Universe of Marvel Characters, which stands for Spunk. You gotta be kidding me. Now Spunk is like their own Marvel Cinematic Universe, where they don't want to associate with Marvel because of money, duh. And they pretty much got a lot of Spider-Man fanboys mad. And now I'm pretty much gonna read their tweets. Now after this video, please don't harass these people. It doesn't really make you the bigger person. And now I'm gonna repeat the same thing that I said in my intro because no one ever listens to me. Because I'm pretty irrelevant on YouTube right now. And as I'm going to say again in my intro, don't be retarded and attack people. That doesn't make you good. Man, first Venom title is worse. Now this, at least they should take ideas from Kevin Feige's titles. Okay, first off, don't be mad at a movie or a company just because they have a crappy title. Just because the title is bad doesn't mean the movie is bad. Like Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back has a terrible title, even The Pursuit of Happiness has a terrible title, and those movies were pretty good. Like, the title isn't even important to the movie. Ignore the title and enjoy the movie. Okay, but WTF is Sony Pictures. Imagine if AT&T replaces WB Pictures with AT&T Pictures. I mean, you're not wrong there. But just because a brand has their crappy name to their cinematic universe doesn't mean the company is going to change their name. I mean, that'd be false advertising for Sony. In other words, give the rights back to Marvel. I mean, Marvel and Sony kinda have to work together. I mean, if they give the rights back to Disney and Marvel, they would just screw up Spider-Man for good. Same for Sony. I mean, Sony has been making a lot of Spider-Man films for years. Some of them have been screwed up, but not really. I mean, Disney has sort of screwed up a lot of Spider-Man content. They said Ultimate Spider-Man was going to be good, but they screwed up. I mean, it was okay. It was sort of mediocre, but I kind of didn't like it. And they screwed up their current Spider-Man show, which I didn't like at all. So if Marvel and Sony didn't really work together, they would just screw up Spider-Man for good. So I would let Marvel and Sony work together because that would be good. Plus, I would never let Disney have the rights to Spider-Man. They screwed up Alice in Wonderland, The Jungle Book, and even The Lion King. How can you screw up The Lion King? That was actually a good movie when I was a child. Let it all die except for Spider-Verse. Dude, what do you have against Sony's Spider-Man live-action movies? Sure, a lot of Spider-Man movies weren't good because they kinda knew what they were doing. But it just wasn't done right. Like, Spider-Man 3 had a good direction. It just wasn't the best direction, though, so, yeah. Even the other Spider-Man movies, except for Spider-Man 1 and 2. Wow, Sony really doesn't want to associate themselves with Disney, do they? Well, yeah, if a company is dying, they have to keep their brand going. It's pretty much like that with every other company. If a company dies, they obviously have to keep that product. It literally has Marvel in the name. Yeah, they're literally owning a Marvel product. It wouldn't be a Marvel movie without the name Marvel in there. It's like making a Batman movie, but it's not made by DC Comics. That would just be false advertising. So, yeah, that was the whole Twitter nonsense thread. Honestly, I think these people are just stupid because they want to give the rights back to Marvel. Honestly, Marvel and Sony should just work together if they want their brand to succeed. Because Sony knows how to tell a good story with Spider-Man. I don't know about Disney though, but even Sony has created the Spider-Man PS4 game, which is a pretty good Spider-Man in my opinion. One of the best Spider-Man video games I've ever played. But don't boycott Sony because of a stupid, retarded name. Yes, honestly, the name is pretty stupid, but I'm gonna still see Spider-Man movies either if they're made by Sony or Disney. Because I am a big Spider-Man fan, no matter what. Spider-Man has a lot of big flops, but he always finds a way to come back. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video. If you like it, leave a like, and if you want to see more, then subscribe. Blake the Runner, running out.